the desert of the real.
Welcome to the Desert of the Real. I am your host, Ryan Hudson, and joined with me is your other host,
Jason Deeds.
The Desert of the Real is a movie podcast where I forced Jason to watch all the big blockbuster movies he's refused to watch because he didn't think they were worth his time. We're also high school teachers. We teach English and film and philosophy and creativity classes. And we have graduate degrees, so we know what we're talking about.
Sometimes.
Okay.
Or at least we think we do.
Yeah, at least we think we do. We use our academic training to dig deeply into movies. We explore the creativity, philosophy, and ethics in our films, and we push you, the listener, to think...
creative thinker, if you will. Oh, wait, critical thinker, if you will.
I
just got done with creativity class.
What's wrong with a creative
critical thinker?
A creative thinker. We push you, the listener, to think critically about your entertainment. I usually ask where you are in this time, but there's something so specific that happened when I first saw this movie.
There always is.
There always is. But I remember when I saw this in a packed theater was the presidential election of 2016.
Wow.
I was like... I went in thinking, oh, Hillary Clinton's probably going to win. And then we watched the movie and collectively as an audience pulled out our phones like, huh. We were like, oh, Donald Trump won. That was this day.
Wow.
Me seeing Doctor Strange for the first time. Anyway, that day, 2016.
Cool.
You saw this movie. I don't know. You don't see movies in theaters.
No, because I've been poor almost my entire life. So
you should see them in our town where we are right now. They have pretty decent prices.
But I don't live in our town where we are right now.
Yeah, but you work in this town.
So I should catch a movie by myself on the way home someday?
It's not bad. I saw a movie by myself one and only time, and it was pretty nice.
Was it?
Yeah. I want to know
surrounded by all these people who are with people.
Maybe.
And then there's you sitting there with your sad little bucket of popcorn.
And or a bucket of popcorn you get to enjoy all of.
That's a good point.
But I had a great experience going by myself. Because I was the only person in the entire theater.
Wow.
No.
What was it?
Well,
must have been magnificent.
We've talked about this movie before.
Did we?
Babylon. The guy who directed La La Land and stuff.
Can't imagine wanting to watch that movie.
Well, that's what America said, apparently. What was so funny is they had this little, the actors beforehand, they're like, we're so glad you're here because this movie needs to be seen on the biggest screen possible with the biggest crowd possible. And I was like, I'm the only one here, Margot Robbie. It's just me.
Did you shout that?
Yeah, I said that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
That's
why not?
awesome.
I was the only one there.
Yeah, that is cool. I don't know.
There's something about seeing movies in theaters where it's... you share this experience with a whole bunch of people.
Oh.
You share it as a crowd. You're all laughing together.
But you had nobody in the theater.
Well, not that experience, but when you just go see a movie in the theater.
That's true. That's fair.
People are sometimes annoying in theaters, though, pulling out phones or talking.
I don't have to deal with that.
Right.
At home.
I got to the point where I don't mind waiting a week or two to see a big movie, because then I don't have to worry about people being annoying. A guy next to me just pulled out his phone to text, maybe every 15 minutes, and the screen was dimmed, but it was still super annoying and distracting. I'm here to experience something. I don't want all these people ruining it for me.
With their phone screens.
Yeah, with their phone screens.
It's a lot of fun to go to a theater with your family. Always like, I could buy 6 movies.
Yeah.
Or I could go and experience this movie in a theater one time.
Yeah, and sometimes it's worth it.
Okay.
What was it? But once again, with the whole Marvel thing, part of the appeal was you can't miss out. There's going to be something here you will need to see or want to see. So go opening week, go week 2 type of thing.
I never understood those people.
I think people forget about this movie, though. Like, I think... Because, you know, so far we've had a trilogy, a superhero, basically. And Doctor Strange has a sequel, but there's no plan for a third one. Marvel is at a weird place right now where it's like, is that movie getting a part 2? Like, we left off on a cliffhanger here. Like, what's the ne's thing? And Marvel is like cricket noises.
This was a more cerebral movie. So maybe, I don't know, maybe Marvel fans are not interested in cerebral.
Well, maybe. I mean, I think this movie is also super similar to Iron Man. Like,
right. That was one of my negatives. This is the same movie.
That's one of the big things I want to talk to you about.
Oh, okay.
Later on, like, what's the difference here, or
why later
is there
on?
a difference?
We could just
because our audience doesn't even know what the plot is. They're blind right now.
Oh yeah, they've never seen it.
The people listening to this podcast.
So I'm gonna try and do this in the time you take to do them.
Nice.
Which is what, a minute? So I'm waiting for the second hand.
Okay.
All right. So Doctor Strange is this annoying guy who's super cocky, and then he gets in a car wreck.
Yeah.
Which breaks up his hands and he's shaking. They did the best they could, but there's no way he's ever going to be a surgeon again. So he's super depressed and he's really rude to Rachel McAdams.
Yeah.
Who, you know, is super nice always in every movie, but except for Mean Girls.
Where she's mean.
Yeah, she's not nice in Mean Girls. Then somebody tells him he should go to Nepal, I think it is. So he goes to Nepal, and he's pretty desperate at this point, and he meets the White Witch.
Tilda Swinton.
From Chronicles of Narnia, and the White Witch, like, won't see him, but shows him what she can do.
Yeah.
And so he stands out there for a long time. I'm not going to make it in a minute. And then finally, they let him in, start training him, and then, like, in the course of, like, 43 seconds, he goes from being this broken, depressed dude to this guy that can do all this magic crap with his hands. And so he is apparently the super student, and he just progresses really quickly. And they say, don't do this. So he, of course, does it.
Yeah.
And discovers the time manipulation skills. And then the bad guy, who used to be the White Witch's apprentice, shows up, blows up this sanctum because he wants the guy Dormammu to come and consume the world for some reason that I didn't ever actually understand. And so Doctor Strange becomes this warrior of Earth or whatever. And then the second sanctum falls, and the third sanctum is falling, and he shows up with Wong and Mondu. That sounds like a great movie, Wong and Mondu. Anyhow, so they show up too late, and the weird guy has already destroyed the fourth sanctum, and Mordu, and Dormammu's coming and consuming the world. And then Doctor Strange turns back time, but it's not going to be enough. And so he comes up with a brilliant plan to go trick Dormammu into a time loop.
Yeah.
And so in this time loop, he convinces Dormammu to leave Earth alone. And the end, I think.
Basically, yeah.
So that was not a minute.
That was pretty good, though.
That was better. It was less snarky.
How did you react when they said the green thing was a Infinity Stone?
Yeah, we already, I think, at this point.
You knew that?
Everything that glows and has mystical powers has to be an Infinity Stone, right?
Remember that being a, whoa, really?
Well, that's probably because I've watched all of these
in order
in the last like 2 months.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I'm sure if you had to wait a year between whatever the last one was and this one, it would be a surprise.
Because we have that one, we have the one in Vision's head, We have the purple one we've seen.
We have the one from Loki's Pokey Stick.
Yeah, that's the one in Vision's
that's
head.
the one in Vision's
And
head.
then we have the one that was the red one in Thor 2. So I think we only have 4 at the moment.
Wait, what?
We
have 4.
It was inside Natalie Portman. It's not important anymore.
Oh.
That was...
Oh, the one that wasn't a stone.
Yeah.
That's like this misty crap.
Right.
That will be a stone someday when it grows up.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so did you notice this is the first time we got an extra special new, longer Marvel Studios logo?
Yes, I did notice that. I don't know if it's
we got the Marvel Studios theme playing, but we're seeing all these characters on the letters.
Did you notice which one they ended with?
I forget at this point.
Guess. It's not Iron Man.
Is it Captain America?
Yeah. So we end with Captain America who gets a couple of shots.
Yeah.
I was like, that's correct.
That's awesome. That logo changes throughout the years with when we get new people in and stuff.
Cool.
So, fun fact. You know what the actor's name is who plays Wong?
Wong.
Actually.
It is. I looked it up.
It is Wong. Benedict Wong.
Yeah.
And Doctor Strange is Benedict Cumberbatch. So what are the odds of 2 Benedicts being in one movie together?
Those are the only 2 Benedicts on the planet.
I think this is a really cool visual movie.
Yeah.
You texted something about Inception. Yeah. Very Inception coded, as the kids would say.
Coded?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Well,
Inception-y?
It's Inception-y, yeah. It's Inception coded, you know.
Okay.
You teach teenagers, you should.
Well,
I'm just joking. This is how else a kid might say. It's giving Inception. I think it's cool that this movie is just going all out with visuals, with CGI. Yeah. It's actually a good argument for CGI versus practical, because this is impossible.
Right.
Obviously, it's impossible. But it looks really cool.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people hate on CGI, like this idea of like, oh, there's too much CGI. We've stopped using practical stuff. And sometimes it's not a bad argument. Like you'll see like screenshots of other Marvel movies where it's like someone's standing in a room and it's clear that they're in front of a green screen. Like, why would we do that? I guess what I'm trying to say is when it's done well, I guess.
Sure.
And
or when it enables us to do something we couldn't do otherwise.
Or when we don't even notice it.
Or that, yeah.
Yeah. Because I don't think anyone's going to be like, oh, if only the mirror world or whatever was practical. It's like, no, I think we're all fine with it.
Yeah.
It can't be a crutch. The problem is where they have numerous studios doing CGI. That what Marvel does is they have a list of shots or sequences, and they have like, I don't know, probably dozens of little animation studios where they're like, you do this shot for us, you do that shot for us. So they're not working together necessarily. The Disney people are like telling them what to do. And the problem is we have all these great examples of movies with CGI, like Jurassic Park, for example. Other good examples, you might not think it, is Michael Bay's Transformers. I know you rolled your eyes, and I'm not going to defend most of those movies. But let's say the first one that I like a lot.
Yeah, the first one was fun.
The CGI still holds up super well. Pirates of the Caribbean 2 and 3, we got Davy Jones and his crew and the Kraken. Still looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
But that's because those guys, and James Cameron too, Avatar, is also a different thing because they take years to make.
Right.
What they had different, like for Pirates of the Caribbean, they had like the special effects supervisor on set and talking with the director or the cinematographer about lighting and things. But when we get to what Disney has been doing later on, it's like people aren't there on the set. The supervisor, the special effects supervisor, isn't in every single studio that's doing all these little shots and scenes. So it becomes a big old mess. And I don't know where they are now, but they're trying to unionize because they're being overworked, basically. And there are movies later on that like, this looks shockingly bad for a movie that spent more than $100 million. And it's like, because they didn't give us time, they're changing things the day of or the day before.
There's no collaboration. Yeah. That would be really hard.
Right. So directors are like, can we do this? Like, no, because we didn't shoot it that way. But they're still trying to fix it.
That's dumb.
I will say, I don't think this movie suffers from that as far as I can tell.
I wouldn't have even noticed.
Because there's not like anything uncanny or that takes you out or anything. Yeah. There will be a few later in the series like, why does this look kind of bad? And we'll see if you find those or if you think that. But
we will see.
Anyway, that's my little CGI rant of the day.
Yeah. No, I thought it was visually it was really cool.
Yeah.
I love Inception's probably my favorite or second favorite movie of all time. So
the thing about Inception is a lot of it is practical. Like the hallway when he's on the wall and the ceiling, practical. And you might not think it, but when they step onto like the street when it's at an angle, that's really there. They're doing it there.
Oh wow!
And
I did not know that.
Like that. So something really cool is when they mix. You can trick people's brains into accepting CGI if you mix in practical stuff. So for a great example is Jurassic World movies, which might not be as great as the original Jurassic Park, but Jurassic Park is a perfect movie. And
right.
But like, I don't necessarily love Jurassic World Dominion. I don't know who does. But I can't help but appreciate the fact that they have a life-size Velociraptor puppet on the table while they're doing surgery, and then it'll cut to it roaring or whatever. Like, and your brain will just like accept it more because of how real it looks in other shots and things.
Cool.
Anyway, and like this movie does, you could tell when there's natural lighting of the swirly things. Right. They have something on set making that light, which definitely helps and stuff.
Yeah. Cool.
Anyway.
Yeah, so, but my favorite parts of this were all, perhaps unsurprisingly, the philosophical stuff.
Yeah.
I guess we're just going to mix it all together.
You know, let's blend the prose with the philosophy of the
We've already blended the prose with the film studies of the real, so let's just do it. So... what is the nature of reality is massive philosophical question.
Right.
And so the idea that our thoughts create reality, we've seen that already in like The Matrix and Inception, but I thought that they did a pretty cool job of playing with that.
I think this movie takes a lot of influence from Matrix.
Yeah, oh yeah.
The idea of I can do whatever I want in like I don't know, this world or whatever.
Yeah. So this movie's answer to what is the nature of reality is we make it. Reality is what we make it with our thinking. And to a certain extent, like not the physical nature of reality, but like I don't know. The easy example is like, was that comment racist? Well, it depends on how you think about it and how you interpret it. So in that sense, you create the reality of racism in the comment.
That reminds me, because in my English class, we're going over mythology, and we were listening to this TED Talk. This guy relates the story of Alexander the Great, and he bumps into this yogi or whatever, just meditating on a rock. And Alexander the Great's like, "What are you doing?" And the guy says, "I am doing nothing." And the guy, Alexander the Great, says, "That makes no sense. I can't even wrap my mind around that." And the guy's like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "I'm conquering the world." And the guy was like, "Well, that doesn't make sense to me." Like, it's probably butchered that story, but the idea is they couldn't comprehend the other person's.
Right. Yeah, because we create our reality in a very real sense, I would say.
Yeah.
There is objective reality, I think. The cape was cool.
Cape is cool. It's like its own character.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was inspired by like the rug from Aladdin.
Definitely. Yeah.
And so,
are you saying it's giving Aladdin?
Yeah, it's definitely Aladdin shaping.
Coded.
Aladdin coded. I don't know. I'm an old person. So Penrose Stairs was cool when it showed up. Just a lot of really cool, I guess they're nods to other great movies. Is that what they're doing?
I just think...
They're just using...
Well, that's the thing. There's like a progression of, I guess, plagiarizing. Because being influenced is different than stealing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. So they were influenced by their previous work.
Or maybe it's a nod. Maybe it's a direct reference.
I don't know.
Maybe.
But yeah, the cape was very, very cool. I liked it a lot.
Speaking of, let me throw this in now because I think you might get a kick of this. The director of this movie directed a movie I know you like. Because he usually makes scary movies.
Oh.
Like, after this, he doesn't do the sequel, but he did, like, The Black Phone, which I don't...
Pretty okay.
Okay, but the one that you do like is Sinister. He
I
directed
love
the first Sinister movie.
Holy crap.
Yeah, I knew you'd get a kick out of that. Like,
He did a great job with Sinister.
He
He did
did
a pretty good job with this movie.
Sinister in 2012, Deliver Us from Evil, a movie I don't know at all, 2014, then this movie. So two scary movies, one that you really like, and then this one. And it's kind of a shame. I mean, I don't know. I like the second one. It's divisive with fans, but it's also kind of a scary.
Cool.
They get another horror guy to direct that one. So.
Oh, nice.
So we'll see what you think when you get to that one.
I didn't feel very horror.
Yeah,
in
this
movie.
one's not really, but I thought it was well made. You know.
Yeah,
He just
I enjoyed most of it.
He doesn't have a long filmography. That's the thing.
There were a couple of quotes I really liked. I think the White Witch. What is her?
Tilda Swinton.
But what is her character?
She's the
Supreme
ancient
goddess,
one.
And
it was actually kind of controversial when it was announced because the ancient one is traditionally an old Asian man,
right?
But now it's a white woman,
right?
So it's some people
the whitest
get upset, right? Actually, very white. She's also in Snowpiercer. She's the lady in charge.
guys.
She's got the fake teeth and the wig.
That's right, with the glasses.
74% of you will die.
With the glasses.
We were just watching that the other day, actually.
It's a good movie.
She is chewing the scenery, you know what I mean?
I do now know what you mean, because you taught me what I mean.
You are a shoe. Be a shoe. Anyway, Tilda Swinton, good.
Yeah. So she says, we never lose our demons. We only learn to live above them.
Ooh.
I thought that's a great line because it's true.
Yeah.
We can either allow our demons to consume us or we can learn to live above them. That was one of my favorite lines so far from Marvel.
All Marvel.
Yeah, that's
like
really
that.
good.
Anyway, what are your thoughts on Mads' character, Cassilius, which we'll probably just call the bad guy?
The bad guy with the weird eyes.
Yeah.
It's one of my negatives is like I never at any point understood why he was doing what he was doing.
Yeah.
Like, other than getting power for himself, but why on earth would he want the whole planet to merge with this thing that...
The movie tries really hard to get us to understand, but I don't think I fully...
I don't even have a clue.
I guess it's to get eternal life, and his justification is that's what the Ancient One's doing already.
But that eternal life is just a part of a conglomerate of everything else, right?
I know. It's not the clearest and the best.
No, it was not clear at all. I mean, he was doing visually cool stuff.
Yeah.
But I never understood his motivation at all.
Yeah, it's not the best. But I love this idea. One of my favorite things, because I think this movie is a large thing about, like, belief. Like, science versus spirituality. Because Doctor Strange, he is the doctor. He's like the best doctor ever.
Wait, he's not the doctor.
He's not the doctor.
Okay, let's be clear on that.
I'm trying to think. But we've already seen one of the doctors in here. And Thor 2. And David Tennant is in the Jessica Jones show. He's not a religious man. He's a science man.
For sure.
He needs to see it to believe it type of thing.
Sure.
Like, I can see science. I can see my medical practices. That's what reality is. So when he's like, oh, there's some guy that can teach you to do this. So you have to... Spirituality stuff. It's like, no, that's dumb because I can't see it. Then he sees the guy walking. He's like, all right, I'll check it out. But then, like, he sees his soul out of his body when the
astral plane.
So he's like, now this is as much science as anything else now. This is real. And I am dedicated to this now because I know it's real.
Right.
So in a sense of like, I guess a religious aspect is like finding that belief. It's like, this is, I can't see it. I have the faith and I'm living this. And then the bad guy, he's like, yeah, but did you know this person you're essentially worshiping, she's doing something is wrong. And like that, those seeds of doubt type of thing. I love that part of it where he's willing to accept something new, but then all of a sudden, like, wait, maybe this new thing isn't as perfect as I thought.
Well, I mean, Rex Mordu.
Yeah.
I don't know that Doctor Strange was ever, because he's, like you said, he's driven by what he can see, touch, know, and he knows the astral stuff is real now.
Yeah. I guess it's kind of like if someone was religious and then someone comes around and is like, oh yeah, maybe it's not true. Mordu is like, oh, that's going to crash my faith.
Yeah, you're right.
It's Doctor Strange. He's like, I just have to accept that as part of this.
Yeah,
or
it's just, that's how it's done.
And I think that's true for a lot of people who are religious.
But in what you just laid out, Doctor Strange couldn't doubt.
Right.
He knew.
Yeah.
And so I think the seeds of doubt that destroy people's faith can only do that to people that don't know.
No.
And so I think the religions that rely on mysticalness are doing themselves a disservice in that respect because there's no way to know we're living on faith.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Whether it's like Christianity or Hinduism or, whatever, it's you are relying on faith no matter what.
Until you know.
Right.
Right.
Or
and so
fall away or whatever.
Sure. Yeah. And so the experiential religions like that encourage you to, ask questions and have experiences and those are the religions I think that build knowledge. They build the strength to resist. Yeah. So that means that Mordu's a really interesting character in that sense, because he knew, he's doing the stuff. So how did his faith get destroyed? How did that happen? Because he had knowledge. He had experiential knowledge. Yeah. And so I think the reason why it happened for him is because it was a one-sided knowledge. Yeah. And so I'm not suggesting that we need to go out and, experience the other side of whatever. Right. But there is something to be said for I know the two sides. Right. I know what joy feels like because I've felt misery. Yeah. I know what happiness is because I've been sad. And Mordu, at least in the context of the astral, whatever they're doing, apparently never had experiential knowledge of the other side. And ultimately, it blew him apart. So
that was kind of cool, though. Like you say, I wrote down, what is real? Thoughts shape reality. I don't like miniseries over movies. But part of me was like, this might have benefited from a miniseries. Episode 1, he's prideful and arrogant, breaks his hands. Episode 2, he's wandering around. He ends with oh, I guess I'll go to Nepal, Right. Anyway, but take building more time. We would have had a whole episode of just training, where now it's all relative to...
It did, yeah.
Because I do love the part where he's like, I can't, my hands, they're shaking. Oh, yeah? Well, let's see this guy do it. He doesn't even have a hand.
Right, that was cool.
And he's, trying to make excuses. It's natural to blame something. It's not my fault. I don't know. Quit making excuses.
Right. Right. That's the whole thoughts... Your thoughts shape your reality thing.
Right.
I think that my hands can't do it, therefore I'm right. Yeah. And this guy's I'm not going to allow that kind of thinking to shape my reality. So he's I don't need a hand. Yeah. And there's his circle of whatever it is.
Thing. What do you feel about at the end when they're at the hospital for the Ancient One? She has a conversation with Doctor Strange.
Mm-hmm.
Like the delusion that you can control everything, even death. And then she said, death is what gives life meaning, knowing our days are short. Because I wonder about that sometimes. It's like, how much do we fulfill our days? Because I, for one, am super lazy. I would rather sit around and do nothing a lot of the time. But like my days are finite, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm like, am I using my days as smartly as I can? Does it give me my life meaning that one day I'll die?
Well, if you don't ever think about it, no.
You're right.
Like if you never engage with your mortality,
Mm-hmm.
no. So just wait till you're my age and things start breaking and going wrong, and then you're like, I agreed with the White Witch there.
Really?
Yeah. Because otherwise we have no meaning to our lives.
See, that's another thing you could argue is like a religious aspect where it's like, but if someone's religious, they believe in an afterlife.
Sure.
And then it's like, oh, well, there's more than just this life. So I was thinking, is that more like a secular reading? It's like, no, there is no afterlife. This is all you get. Make the most of it.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Even in the religions that have afterlives, this life plays a crucial role. Like this is the life where you accumulate whatever it is for the next life, like dharma or
reincarnation and everything.
Right. So your good outweigh your bad, whatever. So I think even like secularly or religiously, your days should be valuable.
Yeah.
So
makes sense.
I don't know. I agree with her.
This whole franchise is multiverse headed. And but then it was a big thing in outside of this franchise. Like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Right.
Doctor Strange 2 is called Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. And there's various ideas in other places too. Mm-hmm. But then you have movies like Everything Everywhere All at Once, multiverse stuff, and maybe doing it better than these humongo blockbusters.
It was so good.
Do you believe in a multiverse?
No.
What? How do you view the multiverse then?
Just like universes that are not our universe, where potentially the laws of physics are different, or
in space beyond our actual universe,
or conjunctive with our universe, but just on a different plane or a different level, or in the space between the atoms is another universe that...
The space between spaces.
Right. Yeah. Anyhow. So, no, I do not believe there are infinity of me's out there doing other things because they made other choices. No.
Yeah. But,
Negatives. I don't like cocky characters.
But
it's just...
Gets humbled?
Right. But it was fake. Like, it seemed like... Just like... And now he's a humble guy. I don't know. I don't know why cocky characters annoy me so much.
They just annoy you. It's just, but I liked it when he's talking to Wong. I love Wong, but he's like, people used to think I was funny. And Wong's like, did they work for you?
Right. And that's where I'm like, this is just another Tony Stark.
It is kind of. But there's something like you can fix your hands or you can keep doing this and save innumerable people. Because obviously he's Doctor Strange. He's a big hero in the comics and stuff. And then, did you see the end credits? Or there's mid-credits. I didn't. He has the yellow gloves on. The iconic. Okay. He's talking to Thor. And it's setting up another movie. But he didn't fix his hands. He's still being Doctor Strange. And then there's the post-credits with Mordo, where he's like, there are too many sorcerers in this world. He takes the powers out of that one guy who learned to walk.
Oh, he becomes a bad guy?
Yeah, but that's not been cashed in yet. Like, when are we going to see the Mordo movie?
Why would he be a bad guy?
He thinks there's too many people with powers. Marvel has a lot of power teams. Like, there's the Avengers, obviously. Then there's S.H.I.E.L.D. Then there's like, there's these people. Why can't they solve all the problems?
Right.
But it's like, there are a lot of people who could just step in and stuff.
Right. Right. Yeah. And so that was a negative for me. If this, whatever this is simultaneous with the Avengers, I don't see why we need the Avengers.
Yeah.
Like, these guys could just fix everything. And so...
Well, here's the thing you didn't consider. This movie wasn't made by the time when they made Avengers. So.
Right, but...
This joke.
So, cocky character, that was a problem. These guys, their powers seem like... It's like the same thing with the Scarlet Witch. Like, there's no reason she can't just fix everything. So, it seems like they're creating these characters... And then they're putting some kind of artificial damper on what they can do so they can keep making movies.
I don't know, maybe.
That's
you like magic with rules. We've talked about
that, and that was the third problem, was that.
The rules.
Like, this is, as far as I can tell, no rules. There's just, you wave your hands around and they make lines in the air and then you can do whatever you want. That drove me nuts. The whole movie.
Here's the thing, though. Not everyone thinks like you.
I
know.
In
fact, I was talking to my older sister, and I mentioned Mistborn. And the thing that you love, these specific rules and things, she's like, yeah, I know there's all these magic whatevers. Just, I don't care about that. She literally is like, just use it, however, to tell the story. So there are two sides of the coin.
I'm aware of that.
You are like, I need this. And others are like, I don't care, just tell a good story.
Right. Well, I'm in for the good story, but... Okay. I hate good stories. I just want rules. I just want rules. But, I mean... I don't know.
I know. In the comics, whenever Doctor Strange does something, on, like, the corner of, like, the panel, it'll say, this spell comes from this magic textbook or whatever.
Oh, cool.
Like, it'll name the spell and the haven't it came from.
Oh.
I haven't read a lot of Doctor Strange, but the little I have, it does that. That's neat.
Yeah, that is cool.
I think Rachel McAdams is wasted.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I remember asking my wife, I was like, is Rachel McAdams wasted? And she thought I meant drunk. Like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, she's nothing to do, really.
She does nothing. Yeah. Yeah, Rachel McAdams is awesome. She's a great actress.
I love Rachel McAdams.
And, yeah, nothing. I agree.
And it's super similar to Iron Man, but I always kind of chalk it up to being Marvel just knows how to make an engaging, fun movie. So it doesn't matter. It's super similar. It's just...
So this movie reinforces my initial prejudice.
Right.
Because it's almost the same movie as Iron Man.
Yeah.
And Ant-Man, basically all the origin story movies.
Right. Maybe all the origin ones are the same.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see if the second one we get there is different enough.
Here's hoping.
Anything...
And then, like, just the motivation doesn't make any sense. Like, Dormammu wants to do what he's doing. Why?
I don't know. Eat a planet. Maybe he's hungry.
He just he's probably a little he's a little peckish.
Did you ever see the Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer?
No.
From like 2005 or something, 2006 maybe. That, like, it's Galactus is the bad guy, and Galactus traditionally looks like a man wearing a purple suit with a big magnet-looking thing on his head that points up. But in that movie, he's just a big old cloud. And a bunch of nerds was like, Galactus doesn't look like that. I feel like this is the cooler version of Galactus where there's a face at least. And he's got a wavy thing. He's colorful. But I was like, I don't know. He's going to eat the planet, I guess.
Yeah, I don't... It was like... Don't pay it. It felt like
Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, don't pay attention to what's going on behind the curtain. Just look at all the flashy lights and the cool effects, and just pretend.
It is wrapped up super fast too. Because I was like, Dormammu is like, I don't know, a intergalactic being, and he's getting annoyed from 5 minutes worth of screen time. It's like, I feel like Dormammu could maybe outlive Doctor Strange here. He doesn't want to live in a time loop, but I feel like he could keep going, you know.
So is Doctor Strange aging in the time loop?
I don't know. I
don't know how you would even.
Is he gonna get tired after a while, or does he? Because he's getting stabbed.
Right.
He's getting torn apart and squished. All these things. I mean, it is funny. Don't get me wrong.
And yeah, it was a clever solution. I don't know, if you're a being that has never ever known any restriction at all, and all of a sudden you're locked into this very limited space, maybe.
Yeah. Would Doctor Strange have been able to last years
or
of
would
this?
he have gone insane?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
He's willing to sacrifice himself for the planet, though, so that's cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
Oh, the fight is cool with everything going backwards.
Yeah, that
and
was cool.
The bad guys getting trapped in like walls and stuff. Yeah. And then Wong was just uncovered.
Yeah.
And it was like, I know there are consequences. He's like, oh, well, don't stop now.
Yeah.
I love Wong.
Yeah, he's a good character.
There's one more negative I have, which is just a nitpick.
Okay.
Does product placement ever bother you in movies?
Yes.
Because there's one time where Doctor Strange is like, let me look up my Surface Pro here. I thought that was very product placing.
Because they're usually Apple.
A MacBook?
Yeah, they're usually MacBooks.
Yeah, maybe that's why we notice it when it's not a MacBook.
Yeah.
There's always some fun rules. Knives Out, the director, he revealed that Apple didn't allow the bad guy to be seen with an iPhone.
Huh.
So if you knew that, you'd be like, who doesn't have an iPhone? Granted, Apple might be changing that since people know that now, but up to that point,
that's interesting.
You can't let bad guys be seen with our product.
Even if they're cool bad guys?
Even if they're cool bad guys.
Huh. You know everything.
No, I know a bunch of dumb, pointless things.
But for the purposes of this podcast...
a podcast where we can talk about anything?
You are the king. No. You are the king.
All right.
So philosophically, we've already touched on the two that what is the nature of knowledge and what is reality. But like Buddhism shows up here, which is cool because I like Buddhism a lot.
Yeah.
This was pretty heavily the religious side of Buddhism, which I'm less interested in, like the astral plane and the chakras. And stuff like that. But
you're more into like how should a person live their life type of thing.
Right. Like be here right now and live here. I think that's really important.
Hear that, listener? Stop doing... I know you're just listening to us in the background. Listen here.
Yeah. Just like
be here now.
Because if you're not here, then your life is passing and you're not in it. You're always in the future or in the past or whatever. Yeah. And then just, I think especially in Western culture, we've lost the ability to just be still.
Yeah, I struggle with that. I'm feeling guilty as you're talking.
Well, it's not a guilty thing. It's just...
I am feeling guilty.
Okay, well, good, because that was the goal.
Because, like, there are literal moments where it's like, I don't want to do nothing.
Right.
Part of it's like, I'm busy all day doing something else.
Right.
And then when's my me time? Let me squeeze. So that's my justification, but I'm also like, let me just be plugged in all the time. So
right.
I don't have to do nothing.
Yeah, we've lost that ability, and I think it's hugely detrimental. Like our mental health crisis, I think in part is the result of that. We need to be still. We need our bodies, our minds need time to just be. And Buddhism captures that. So even though most of this movie was not that, there were elements of like that. And then it screws with it when he starts messing with time, because you don't have to be here now. You can be whenever you want.
Oh, interesting.
And so his character, or I guess the powers that his character have, is kind of anti-Buddhist, which is interesting because, you know, this is a Western movie, and so we want to promote our Western values of we can, you know, we don't have to be still. We need to be consuming. We need to be experiencing all the time.
Yeah. That's a big thing now, like experiences. Like that's where a lot of people get in trouble because they have to prove that they're experiencing things.
Right.
Like, let me live stream
Yes.
doing things I shouldn't do
Yes.
or whatever. Let me prove that this is a good experience. Let me show off my vacation. Let me
Right.
show off whatever.
But I do believe that our bodies and our minds need to be still sometimes.
You should write a book.
Okay. I will.
You should have that be part of your book.
Okay. Be still.
Yeah.
So the only other thing that I thought was cool and philosophically was when the White Witch,
The ancient one.
the ancient one, sorry.
Tilda Swinton also works.
Okay. I think the White Witch is good because she was awesome as the White Witch in Narnia.
Yeah. No, I know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. So she tells Doctor Strange, or what Doctor Strange gets out of what she's saying is, so I gain control by surrendering control. And I think that is something that we also have lost in Western society. So a huge part of Buddhism is the Four Noble Truths. The core of that is we suffer because we want. And so we, especially in Western society, our whole society is built on want.
Yeah.
And this movie suggests that maybe that's not the best thing. If we surrender desire, if we surrender want, don't we gain control? Or conversely, if we are continually driven by our want to get this, experience this, are we in control at all? And I would suggest this movie says no. If you are driven by your wants
But
and your
doesn't Doctor
desires,
Strange give up his wants and desires?
right, and that's why he gets power.
He became Buddhist.
Just
kidding. We could take
maybe
that out.
he did. I don't know, but
No,
he certainly surrendered his want to fix his hands so he could go back to being a famous surgeon. He surrendered that, and so
he gives the scalpel to the other doctor and stuff.
Yeah. And by doing that, by surrendering that desire, he becomes powerful.
Yeah.
And so if whatever you said, if the Buddha, what is it? Inception charmed.
Inception coded.
Okay, the Buddha coding of this movie. There's a lot in terms of, suggestions on how to live life.
I do feel like Buddhism is very popular, even if people don't want to do their spiritual side of things.
Right.
I think it's a very popular way to live for people who aren't super religious. They're like, if anything, I'm maybe Buddhist, In the moment.
No expectations, no desires for this shoe or that phone.
You know what is good to help squander expectations?
What?
Having little children and toddlers. You're like, this is going to be a fun family thing we're going to do. And we're crying the whole time.
Yeah, absolutely.
This was supposed to be the funnest day of your life.
Yeah.
I want to run something by you. I want you to tell me if I'm on the right track, because you reminded me of something, the losing control thing.
Surrendering, not losing.
From surrendering control. From the newest Bluey episode. There was a special half-hour Bluey episode that just came out at the time of recording. It's called The Sign. It's incredible. I cried.
Wow.
Not going to lie. But it's a rough retelling of an old Chinese proverb where, like, a farmer loses a horse and his neighbors are like, "Oh, this is terrible." The farmer goes, "We'll see." The horse comes back with 3 horses. You're like, "Oh, this is amazing. You should be so happy." "We'll see." Then the horse's son gets bucked off and breaks his arm or leg. And it's like, "Oh, this is awful." I'm like, "Well, we'll see."
Yeah.
Then the army comes to get recruits and the son doesn't have to go because of his leg. And his friends are like, "You should be happy his son doesn't have to go." Like, "We'll see."
Yeah.
And that's like, that's it. The whole point of the episode, not to spoil the Bluey episode. I know we have fans who might not have seen it yet because it's brand new.
Okay.
But it's like, life, is it going to have a happy ending? That's maybe not going to happen. Because that's the thing that Bluey was struggling with, like, because they're planning to move. It's like, is there a happy ending? Why do stories always have to have happy endings? And the teacher, Calypso, is all like, well, maybe stories have happy endings because real life doesn't have enough of them sometimes, which is kind of a fun response. We don't know what's going to happen. We can't control it. See, I brought it back.
There you go.
Maybe the thing won't be what we thought it would be. Maybe life will throw a curveball we don't see coming.
Yeah, it will.
So I guess, am I on track?
So, a couple of responses. That proverb is illustrating, like, you just be there.
Right.
And it is.
Yeah.
Like Shakespeare, Hamlet.
Right.
What's the dude's name? The dad. Like
the dad.
The dad
Polonius.
Polonius. He says there's nothing good or bad, but thinking makes it so. And I think that's what this is. So in Bluey's case, if he thinks it's a bad thing,
Bluey's a girl.
If she thinks it's a bad thing, it is. If she thinks it's a good thing, it is. In Buddhism, there is no good and bad events. They're just events.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm just projecting it. Everyone's like me, right? Like something bad happens and it's like, why does this keep happening to me? My life is going to crap because this bad thing happened, where
it's not actually bad, right?
Take it as it is.
It just is.
It's hard to do that, though.
It is, because we live in a Western society.
Yeah.
Where if we're not progressing and making more and more money and getting more and more crap and having more and more experiences, then something's wrong with us. That's not true.
Yeah.
In a Buddhist sense, it's not.
It is what it is.
Just be.
Just be.
Just live your life in a manner of happiness. Be content with where you are and what you're doing, because otherwise your life is just passing you by and you're always living in the past when things were better or in the future when things will be better.
Yeah.
You will rob yourself of your life because you're always not here.
Who said life is what happens when you're busy making other plans? Stuff like that type of thing.
And you keep making other plans and then you die and your whole life passed and you were never in it. You were always looking to the future or regretting the past.
I want a good life. I want a filling life.
Your life is good. In a Buddhist sense, it is filling. Whatever it is, your life is, it is. Be there.
Be there.
There you go.
Or be square.
But I wish I could stick that into the heads of my students. Just be here.
Yeah.
And they're all, when they're like, oh, this is boring or this, whatever, I'm like, just be here. Experience this.
Yeah.
Like, you're wishing yourself out of your life into the future, and you're just going to keep doing that your whole life if you don't ever learn not to, and you'll miss all of it.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, ethically, Mordo is a rule-bound ethicist. This is our first one that I can remember. So, rule-bound ethics. Is there a rule? If there is a rule, that is right. And so for Mordo's case, the rule is thou shalt not tap into whatever it is.
The dark realm.
The dark realm. And so even though you
could say white wit.
The white wit, the ancient one, has done so much good for him.
Yeah. For
so long, she's wrong because she broke this one rule.
Right.
And so rule-bound ethics is a really, really hard one to actually hit right unless the rules are right.
Yeah.
I think he does a good job illustrating why rule-bound ethics.
So you're saying if society has the good rules, we should all be rule-bound ethics?
My job is not to say you should be this ethic.
You just tell me how to think.
No. My job is to say, here is this ethical school. This illustrates the limitations.
Yeah.
Make your choice.
Yeah.
So, in the 4 tendencies we talked about last week, I'm a questioner.
Remind the listener of the 4 tendencies.
It's just how you interact with authority, both internal and external. So I'm a questioner, which means I'm really good at meeting my own expectations for myself.
Yeah.
But externally, if someone wants me to do something or if there's a rule I think is stupid, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't fit with what I believe. So I would probably never be a rule-bound ethicist. I need to understand and accept why.
Right.
So I would not be Mordo.
Right.
So that was cool. The Hippocratic Oath is an ethical...
For doctor's take, which is...
Do no harm. That's an ethical stance. If it's in your power to do good, do it. It's basically what it is.
Very nice.
That's, I think, a really important piece of ethics.
Yeah.
That if we all lived by that, the world would be a better place.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, that's what I got.
That's awesome. I have one more thing I wanted to bring up. When movies are super CGI like this,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's real people there and stuff, but like most of it is just computer made. So the thing is, like, how can you make it look more like grounded and real? The answer is you have a camera that still obeys camera rules. There are a lot of examples of cameras breaking the rules because, like, say, The Adventures of Tintin. There's this great moment where they're chasing a piece of paper and they're going through buildings. They're going on motorcycles. They're, like, all over the place.
Right.
The camera literally couldn't do that.
Right.
But, you know, it's a cartoon. The camera doesn't even exist type of thing. But there's the best bad example is Pacific Rim 2. And have you seen Pacific Rim?
Mm-mm.
It's kind of like these giant robots fighting giant monsters.
Okay.
Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, maybe I should then.
Yeah.
If he's
The best explanation a critic gave was, it's either the coolest dumb movie or the dumbest cool movie. But in his movie, the camera is acting like a real camera. Like, the big machines will not be captured in the whole frame or something. The camera moves real, even though it's probably all CGI in a lot of shots because it's
right.
robots. The sequel, not directed by Del Toro, is doesn't obey that rule. The camera is treating these giant mechs like, I don't know, like they're people, you know? We lose a sense of scale. It's just, it'll take you out and you don't even realize it's taking you out. But this movie, once again, maybe not the best example because it kind of breaks what I'm trying to point out here.
Yeah.
Because there's this whole chase in buildings that are folding in, folding out,
Right.
doing all these things. But if you want something that's impossible to feel grounded, it needs to obey those rules. But I think, for the most part, that chase sequence does a good job.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool.
Yeah. If it gets too floaty, it gets too whatever, impossible, then you might not even realize it, but you'll start to not believe it subconsciously. And it's
Interesting.
probably because cameras don't move like that, cameras can't move like that, you just know something's wrong.
I'll have to pay attention.
And for the most part, that whole sequence does a great job of doing that.
Yeah, I was in.
Yeah?
That's great.
Right.
I did not know that. So
I
now I will pay
I
attention.
gotta think about
This is
I try to teach my film students or my film studies students, like, think about what the physical camera itself is doing right now.
Right.
I think it can strengthen your appreciation of film because there's a thought behind the camera.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
there's someone trying to make it look great, or, you know, capture framing and positioning and all that.
Yeah.
And so think about what the camera is doing.
Cool.
You know, yeah. Cool. What do you give this movie out of 5 stars?
I think I gave it 4
4? I gave it 3.5.
because it was interesting. Like, it was dealing with a ton of philosophically interesting stuff.
Yeah.
So as a movie, like with characters, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
it was a 3-star movie for me.
Mm-hmm.
But because of all of the cool philosophy stuff going on and they're playing with all these ideas, that would have been a 5-star. And so that's how, so I don't know.
That's awesome.
It's awesome. Is
Well,
it?
no, I just... You're
Like
not flippant about it, you know?
my ratings,
I
yeah,
like
they
that you-
mean stuff.
Yeah, They should.
Not like
it
those
just
59.8 out of 100.
Yes. We're not going to
people
get into that.
We hate those people.
If you are rating movies out of 100, just think different. Just be better. I don't know.
Yeah, just repent.
This is a
Come to the 5-star
this
side.
is a 77 out of 100. All right. Don't make it math. Here's how I do it.
Yeah.
1 star, bad.
Okay.
2 star, it's not great, but it's not garbage. I'm not going to watch it again. You know what I mean? So 3 star is good.
Okay.
4 star is great. 5 star,
Perfect.
not perfect. That's too strong of a word. But, it either really affected me or it's just a great time. Like, I gave Dungeons and Dragons 5 stars because it just made me that happy. It just entertained me and filled me with joy that much. It's like, this needs more than just 4.
Cool.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That type of thing.
If it brings you joy, recognize it.
But 3.5 is like 7 out of 10, so it's like, it's better than average.
70 out of 100.
Stop that. Stop it.
So you wouldn't go 71
Oh my
with
gosh.
this? Like what?
No, because in scene 5.
Okay.
No, because I don't know. I just roll my eyes when people are like, I've only given 5 movies 5 stars.
Yeah.
There's only 5 movies that are.
That
the
means they
perfect
have a
movie.
sad life.
That means you hate movies.
Yeah, right. You are not finding any beauty in the movies you're watching.
Yeah.
That's sad for you.
Right.
The dessert.
Oh, the dessert of the reel.
It's the apple.
Teaching us how the time travel works
Right.
and looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Good answer.
Thank you.
What's their next Marvel movie?
Hopefully it's a good one.
If it's what I think it is.
It's probably Ant-Man Gets Smaller.
Ant-Man 2. Ant-Man gets smaller. Where's my list of movies here? I can't find the dang list.
Well, we're just going to pretend like it's Aquaman. It'll be Aquaman next week is what we'll watch.
I tried Googling it.
MCU movies in release order.
Let's see who finds it first now.
Here's a summary from the wrap.
Okay, I found it.
No, you didn't. Crap.
Okay.
This is the wrong kind of
Oh,
list. It's Guardians of the Galaxy 2, obviously.
Heck yeah.
Is what it is. I can't believe you didn't know that.
Guardians 2 and then Spider-Man Homecoming. You loved Guardians 1.
I did.
And this is Volume 2.
As long as Guardians 2 has Drax in it, I think I will like it.
Next week, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and then it's your choice.
Oh, okay.
So you got to think of a movie. Thank you for listening to Desert of the Real.
Indeed.
We love that you're here.
And we love being here.
Feel free to send us an email at desertoftherealpod@gmail.com.
Yep. Please have people subscribe.
Yeah, give us a like. Think critically.
And make sure you're thinking critically.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of depth and richness I'm discovering in the MCU if you look for it. But if you don't, you won't find it.
We love you. Bye.